Hi everyone, welcome to a Stamping to Share video. This is part 2 of the Pop and Twist card. In part 1 I showed you the mechanics for the twist, which is right here, the Pop and Twist. And in this video I'm going to teach you how to decorate it using our Cupcakes and Carousels 6x6 paper stack, as well as some framelits, as well as some really neat inking techniques. So let's go ahead and get started. So let me bring in this paper here. This is our 6x6 Cupcakes and Carousels paper, and when you flip through it, it has kind of sort of like a circus type feeling or like a fair type feeling. And I think the part that I like about it the best is I'm a big fan of blues. And so if you're flipping through it, look at all these awesome blues that you see. Blues and yellows, absolutely gorgeous. And then when you flip the other way, you get more of the Watermelon Wonder look, and that's the other main color that's in this set. So we did go ahead and we used a base of Watermelon Wonder because it does coordinate with that paper. And so I've already done a few of the steps here. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of this striped paper from this paper pack. And I've already gone ahead and put it onto the front of this card. And so the next step is to go ahead and decorate with some banners. And so let me show you the banners that I cut out. We have a 1 by 5.5 inch banner, and this is the Bermuda Bay with some little So Saffron circles. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue on here, and we're going to set this so that, I suppose it's not quite an inch down here from the bottom. And let's see, we'll just set this right in so that the banner edge is kind of even here with the edge of our designer series paper. Press that down, and then we can go ahead and do the next one. This one has the Watermelon Wonder in the background and some little gold swirls. This is 3/4 inch by about 5.5. And again, we're going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue, and then we'll set this so that it layers over the top, but it doesn't go quite as far out to the edge of the card. And then finally, our third layer has some little pennant flags on, and again, I've already cut the edge here. And then to make this edge a little bit frayed, you can see how these are fraying a little bit. I just work the paper back and forth with a bone folder, and then what happens is the paper starts to split a little bit. So this one is 1/2 inch by 5.5 inches. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to put a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue on the back, and we're going to set this in so it doesn't go quite as far as our Watermelon Wonder banner did. So now you can see we've got some excess here, and that's real easy to take care of. We're just going to take a paper snips, and we are just simply going to trim it so that it is even with the edges of our card. All right, so we've got that part done. The next thing that we need to do is we need to get a square of Bermuda Bay. That is going to sit right here. And this Bermuda Bay is going to have a 3/16 inch border. I love that, just that little tiny edge shaved off. It just looks so nice. And so again, that's 3 3/16 by 3 7/16. So we're just going to go ahead and put this on with dimensionals. And as you can see, I've gone ahead, I've used 5 dimensionals on this, and then we're just going to set this in here so that it is, I don't know, we want to make sure that our top and our bottom and our side edge all has about the same distance. So we'll press this down, and we're getting close to where the front of our card is almost done. So now I did a little bit of pre-stamping and a little bit of pre-decorating on this next layer. This is a 3 by 3 1/4 inch piece of Whisper White, and I've gone ahead and I've stamped the carousel with Watermelon Wonder. And then, believe it or not, the little cupcakes that are on this carousel can actually be cut out with a Big Shot and some framelits. And the framelits that I used are from Up, Up and Away Thinlit dies. And so this coordinates with the Carried Away Designer Series paper, as well as the stamp set that's called Lift Me Up. And so it's really neat that this has a couple of pieces in it that coordinate with this stamp set. Now actually the little basket, or the little cupcake base, that is just a little piece that you would just want to cut out on its own. I'm sure you could cut it out through here. I'm sure that would work. But I want to just use it on its own with some So Saffron. And so I went ahead and did that. And I used my magnetic plate, a cut plate, and then I did stamp the carousel in Bermuda Bay. I went ahead and I cut out the icing, and then I had this last piece of icing here that I wanted to show you. And so we'll go ahead and put these back onto the storage tray where I keep my Thinlits, and so you can see how that all works. So here it is. I use some magnetic storage pieces from Stampin' Storage, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'll put this. It looks like a little tiny cloud, but it's actually and it would work for a little tiny cloud, but I'm actually using it for the icing on the cupcakes. And so that's pretty neat that these Thinlits coordinate with this stamp set. And so now what we want to do is we want to put these little tiny pieces here onto our carousel. So as you can see, I went ahead and I've just added a half a dimensional right here. And I'm just going to peel this off. I'm going to take the cupcake base, and we'll go ahead and just set this right on here. And then we're going to add that little tiny cloud, or that little layer of icing to the top of that cupcake. So it looks just like this. And there it is, all completed. One thing I forgot to mention is that I did stamp this onto very vanilla paper. You can see that this layer here is Whisper White, and I wanted to have the cupcakes a little bit different look from the Whisper White. So again, that's stamped on very vanilla, and then again all cut out with the little framelit. And so now we can go ahead and we can just take some snail to the back of this, and we'll go ahead and just put this right on top of this square right here. So we'll set this in, and again we have that lovely 3/8 inch border that makes it all just so beautiful and elegant. Then let's go ahead and we'll use some gold enamel dots, and we'll just take some random pieces here and we'll attach them to our card. And so the front of our card is complete, and this is what it looks like, and it's just so much fun. So now let's work on the inside of this card. So when you open it up, you can see the twist and pop motion is already going. And I did go ahead and I put down one panel just to save us a little time, but this panel here is the exact same size as this one, and that is 3.5 by 3 3/4. So let's go ahead and put some glue on this. I've got, again, my multi-purpose liquid glue, and we're just going to do a little ring around here. And I do want to make sure, now there are some little tiny words on this, so I want to make sure that I have those right side up. And I know that part of this panel is going to be tucked in right here where it folds, so I want to make sure I have some glue way down here in the corners. I should probably hold this up by the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So then we can set this right here, and we'll just get that so that it's about even on all of those 3 edges. And then we'll go ahead and tuck that into the corner, and we'll tuck this side into the corner as well. And there we go. So we have our panel in place, and you can see how nice that is working. So now we need to go ahead and decorate this center panel. So to do that, I went ahead and I cut out 4 pieces of Bermuda Bay that are 2 3/8 inches square. And then on the back side, I went ahead and on one of those panels, I put a watermelon panel with those gold little swirls through it, and we're going to glue that one right here. So again, let me grab my glue, and we can just set this right here and wiggle that right into place. Perfect. One thing I might have forgot to mention is that this inner designer series panel is actually 2 1/4 inches square. I can't remember if I told you that or not, but there it is. The outside panel is 2 3/8 inch square, and the inside panel is 2 1/4 inch square. And so that's going to be true all the way through the center section. So let's go ahead and we'll put the bottom section on because that's nice and easy. We have our Bermuda Bay on the bottom and then just a square of Whisper White on the top. And that's where we would do any writing if we chose to write in this card. And so again, I added a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue, and then I can just wiggle this right into place. Now, if you look on the original card, the next thing that we need to do is a little stamping. We've got the horse up here, the carousel horse, and then we have the big top tents. And so those are done with sponges. So I do have the tents done, so we're gonna go ahead and put that in, and then I'll show you how to do the horse. So let me add the glue and get this all set in place, and then we'll go ahead and we'll work on that horse. So this panel here is done, and now let's work on this top panel. So we again need that square of Whisper White that's 2 1/4 inches, and then we are going to take our horse, and you can see him right here. I've got him set up on a block. And we're going to start with Apricot Appeal, and we'll just go right across the top here where his head is with Apricot Appeal. The next one is Watermelon Wonder, so we just go through the center of the stamp kind of at an angle with the Watermelon Wonder. And then the bottom is going to be Bermuda Bay. And so we'll just go ahead and put that all on there. Then we'll put this right onto our 2 1/4 inch square. Give that a good press, and you don't want to lift things too quickly. You want to give the paper a second or two to absorb it, and there it is. And it turned out just perfect. Now I did go ahead and do one in advance so that we wouldn't have to wait for that to dry. I just don't want to take the chance of smearing it, and so I'm going to take a little snail, and then we're going to set it on that Bermuda Bay. Now, when you're working with a really skinny layer, because this is a 1/8 inch layer, sometimes it's hard to see with your fingers in the way exactly how you can get this all 4 edges nice and even. So what I do is I put a finger in each corner, and then I'm eyeballing up here and down here. I'm eyeballing the other 2 corners to make sure that those 2 corners are even. And then when I press it down, I know that it's going to be even all the way around. So now we can go ahead and we'll just add a little multi-purpose liquid glue, and we'll set this in here, and our center section is complete. So we'll wiggle that into place, and it looks just great. So let's work on these side panels now. So we'll go ahead and we'll do the left side panel first. And I did do a little pre-stamping just to save some time. So I have my Whisper White paper, and it's 1 by 2 5/8 inches. And then I stamped the birthday sentiment onto it. And then we have a couple of banners that we're going to put on there. And this is a 1/2 inch by 3 1/4 inch piece of the designer series paper, which I've cut into a little pennon at the end. And then another little piece of the designer series paper cut at 1/2 inch by 3 inches. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue onto this Bermuda Bay colored one, and then we can just add this paper in here like so, just so that they're kind of offset from each other. And then the next thing we want to do is we'll just add some glue to this just right up here, and then we'll layer our sentiment right over the top. Just give it a little look, maybe about like that. See how nice that looks? And then, just to add even a little bit more interest to this, we are going to open up our mini paper clips right here. We're going to grab one of the gold paper clips and we'll just clip that right here. Just make it look like, just give it that little bit of an accent that makes it look so good. I love when your birthday comes around. So cute. So let's go ahead and add some snail to the back here, and then we'll just set this right here onto the left side of our card. And now let's go ahead and do the right side of our card. So the right side, we will need a 2 5/8 inch piece of Bermuda Bay, which I've already cut. And then on the other side, we're going to need a 2 1/2 inch square of Whisper White. And then I've gone ahead and using markers, I used the Watermelon Wonder marker and the Bermuda Bay marker. I just markered my image on the actual stamp, and then I gave it a little huff to re-moisten it because it does kind of dry as you're taking your time to do a good job markering. And then I just put it all together for you just to save a little time again. So again, we'll put it on with some snail, and then we'll just center this in to this panel over here on the right. And that looks great. So now we can do one more little thing here. We're going to add a couple more of those gold enamels. There it is. Our card is completely complete, and it's so much fun, and it's a pop and twist, and I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial. It took a little while for me to put this all together, but it was just wonderful to have you along for the ride. So here we go. Here's the one that Kim did. Here's the one that I did. If you'd like to place a product order, be sure to visit my online store at www.stampingtoshare.com.